Hello there, David Bradley aka Tech Dave, and I'm just doing a little second part to the video about the eGPU, and I'm going to do some demos. So what I've basically done is I've switched out the nvidia Quadro for a GTX 560 Ti, which is still 1 GB of DDR RAM, but it's DDR5 instead of DDR3. Is that right? Yeah, GDDR5. So it's like literally 2 or 3 times the bandwidth. So I'm gonna demo on 3 of my laptops. Actually, no, just two. One is going to be the T430s, which was featured in the last video, to show the actual significant upgrade in terms of like FPS and quality that we can use with that laptop. Then I'm also going to show you the x200, which has got an Intel Centrino 2 inside, or basically like a slightly souped up Core 2 Duo from like the early 2000s. I've whacked 8 gigs of RAM in there, and I've attached it to the eGPU. So I'm going to just, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the x200, and then I'll move on to the performance of the T430s. So yeah, I'll be back in a jiffy. So I've just booted into Half-Life anyway, just opened up Half-Life. I was going to show you there we go, the RAM and stuff, but then I realised it shows my activation code, so I'm not going to do that. So yeah, Half-Life 2 pretty much runs as you'd expect on a Core 2 Duo. It was designed around the same time, maybe a little after the era of the Core 2 Duo, so the 8 gigs of RAM really makes a difference for it. But this will run a bloody potato. So, but I'm just demonstrating it anyway, just to show you the kind of system performance of a game from the era this laptop was designed to work with, roughly speaking. I mean, it struggles in places to run things like Return to Castle Wolfenstein. So I'm see how far through I am with this game, and then I'll just have a little play for your viewing pleasure. And as you can see, perfectly responsive, no lag, plays normally as the game should and would. Hold on, let's turn off the audio so we don't get done for copyright infringement. Don't know what these things are, but let's shoot them. Die, evil things that I hate innately. Cool. So as you can see, this game runs absolutely fine. It's already getting a little bit hot though running this, but it's not too bad. And if we go bring up Task Manager, processors, performance, see we're getting, it's using a couple of gigs of RAM, it's using about 1/3 of the CPU. So that's absolutely fine. So that's the sort of thing we expect. Now, the next game I'm going to run, hopefully I've got a save available on the cloud, is, come here you, is Skyrim. So I'm just going to do some quick, brief installing. I might pause it if it takes a long time. In fact, I will, and then I'll be back. Right, here we are. I don't know whether you can quite see it, but let's see, not much I can do about that, but it says Skyrim will now accordingly detect your video and hardware options. And I'm guessing low quality, there we go. So we'll see how Skyrim runs, if it even opens. Because we do have 8 gigs of RAM, but it is a Core 2 Duo. Seems to run. But en route it's on low settings, so it's already being laggy. I love this game. I absolutely love Skyrim. It's one of my favourite games to date of all time. I need to play Elder Scrolls Online more, actually, whilst we're on the subject of Elder Scrolls games. And I look forward to Elder Scrolls 6, but I also look forward even more to having a system that will be able to run Elder Scrolls 6 when it eventually comes out. So as you can see, I'm level 89 there with my what is it, Kaji? Oh no, he's badass anyway. So as you can see, it's taken an enormously long time, and I don't know whether you can actually see like the fidelity of the graphics, but like it's not looking so hot, man. Let's see. It's about, so it looks alright, but it's like, I don't know whether you can hear the fans like rupturing their spleens trying to keep up already, and it's taking this long to load in. So I'm actually going to leave this to load just for the excess of like showing how long this actually takes, unless it gets ridiculous and just crashes out. And then I'll show you what we can do with the eGPU next. Nothing's happening, nothing's happening. A lot of people in the audience. Oh, there we go, there we go, there we go. Right, so we can look around. It is laggy as balls. Barely even like just move the mouse without things being straight. I'm just sat down as well. It's not even loading that. Well, I suppose it's loading a massive environment, but doesn't look good. Not a playable frame rate that's comfortable. Looks better on the camera than it does on the actual eyeball in the screen. As you can see, I just stood up and it's already stuttering, and it's just terrible. I'm in Lakeview Manor as well, and there's this huge rendering point, so it's a good way to estimate that. Anyway, so back to the desktop. So that is Skyrim without the eGPU and Half-Life running, looking nicey nice. So I'm not going to bother showing you any of the other games that I've got downloading because they won't even open and it'll be hilarious. But probably a waste of time. So I should be back in a jiffy once I've plugged in and set up the eGPU. So right, we're just going to boot in now. So as you can see, we've now connected the eGPU. Now we turn on the device. Now with this one, it doesn't keep the original screen working once the eGPU is connected, which I don't quite know why it does that, because none of the others do that, but there you go. This is now booting in, and the boot time is actually faster with this as well. I don't know what that's about. Hear my son wildly screaming from the other room. Hopefully it's in play. And you obviously don't want to watch me just booting into Windows, so I'll be back in a second. There we go, and we are in. Just showing you that so you can see that it's still the x200, because you may have seen that on another video or whatever. Yeah, we're just letting it boot. But as you can see, it already looks so much better because we've got this full 1080p screen, which obviously you could do from the laptop, but you'll see when we get. You'll see. You'll all see. One day you'll all see, and the world will be mine. I don't know where that came from. I'm very tired, so enjoy my silly, evil, bad guy voice. It's loading up Steam. Loading up Steam. Loading up Steam. Loading up Steam. Loading up. Nothing I can much do in the meantime to show you. Yes. We'll be back in a sec. 3 minutes have passed. And speak of the devil, Steam finally opens, as if by magic. So, play Skyrim. Now we're going to get it to auto-detect. Oh, come on, don't break. Don't break! How dare you. There we go. There we go, and now this little dialog box here that you can't actually see, hold on. There we go. It's saying, we'll now detect your video hardware and set video options accordingly. And we've gone from low to probably low as well, but actually playable at low, I'm guessing. Medium. Oh, we've actually ranked up. Oh, I'll show you. Medium quality. Medium quality. There you go. So even just that is a good baseline for like the software itself. Skyrim itself thinks that it can play at medium quality, so we'll check that out. And just to prove that I've not switched anything out yet, obviously I haven't switched anything. There's the eGPU going down to the case with the 560 Ti or 580 Ti, whatever it is. 560 I think it is. And then we've got, look, the game is actually loading in at a reasonable speed as well. At what one can only assume is 1080p. I didn't actually check. I can go back and check that. Okay, continue, and that's much less laggy as well, so that's good. Level 8 and 9. Now it might still take a while to boot in because it's lowering. It's obviously increased the texture resolutions or whatever. It's rendering at a higher resolution, but as you can see, it already is much. Oh yeah, love it. I'll zoom in before like I did with the other bit of graphics, so you can see the texture detail is much nicer. Let me just modulate this back to a nice text readable. There we go. And look, we booted in even quicker. Bang, like that. Relatively speaking. Look at that, and we can look around without significant stutter. What am I trying to do? Stand up. There we go. And that's actually looking pretty playable. I mean, I can't walk very fast because I'm overloaded because I normally use God mode on this game. But you can look around. You can move. Let me just turn this top light off, see if that helps. There we go. So now we have playable Skyrim. So that is glorious. Let's look out over this. Oh yes. It was a long night at Lakeview Manor. We had 1,000 million moons before us. 1 billion stars in the night. With a playable Skyrim on a Core 2 Duo laptop. Still a bit laggy. We could probably do with, if you want a decent, better performance, at least going to a smaller part of the map. But yeah, it's getting a bit of lag, but yeah, that's cool. The point has been proven anyway. That you can make Skyrim actually playable on, I'll put later when this laptop's exactly from, but I think it's between probably I think around 2006. I'm not entirely sure though. I'll be back. So that's, yeah, hold on one sec. So we should have an image. There we go. So the x200 released 15th of July 2008. Tells you a bit of details about it. Core 2 Duo. Yeah, so 2008. Hardware specification, Core 2 Duo up to 35 blah 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 2.8. Mine's not that hench, I don't think. I've got 8 gigs of RAM, so we maxed that out. Those graphics. This is just off the Wikipedia, as you can probably tell. And I've got the 9-cell battery for it actually, I think, or the 6-cell. 6-cell, I've got a 6-cell battery for it. And yeah, so I'm on the Core 2 Duo, I think, yeah, it probably is 2.8. So yeah, 2008, so, hold on, I'll be back in a sec. And then we've got, so Skyrim was released in 2011. So 3 years later, so Skyrim is still what was that, like 8 years old, and so the laptop is 11 years old, and that's actually a pretty big difference. in terms of the amount of development in CPU technology and blah 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 blah. But it also, like, this was a business laptop, so it wasn't really designed for like gaming on at all whatsoever. So I'm chuffed that we were able to run Skyrim anyway, like we did. And just doing, oh, what's this? A sneak preview of what we might be trying to play on it next? Oh dearie, dearie me, I shouldn't have shown that. So yeah, the next game we're going to play quickly is going to be a game called Homefront, which was probably a period correct game as well for like pretty hench desktops at the time. And the system requirements, so it should run quite nicely on this system. The system requirements, as you may be able to see here, let's have a look, see if we can zoom that in so it's readable. Recommended system requirements: Core 2 quad core, so it'll run on a Core 2 Duo 2.4, 2 gigs of RAM, 256 memory, blah 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 blah, 10 gig hard drive space. Recommended specs. So we can probably max this out, or at least get it up to a good medium. So we'll see what happens when we boot into the game. Oh. I'll be back once we've booted in, because it's doing some of these bloody install things, so it won't be long. And just so I remember, I spent years trying to get this to run on a Core i3 dual core, like 3.2, I think it was, or 2.8 megahertz or gigahertz, can't remember which, blah blah blah. Even with 8 gigs of RAM, it wouldn't run on a Core i3. So if it runs on this, I'd be quite impressed without the graphics card. So I'm going to try that just after I try it with the graphics card, which is obviously after the install. So yeah, just a little footnote, whilst it's still continuing to install, should be any minute now. This game was the bane of my existence, because I had it on disc for ages and I didn't have a system I could run it on, because I didn't have a desktop, I just had a laptop. So running it on a laptop is a bit of like, oh, this is amazing, because it'll run on any more modern like i5 with Intel HD3000 probably quite nicely, but I never personally had a system that could run it until 4 years ago, so it's quite nice to be able to have it running. So we'll see what happens when it installs. This is actually quite exciting for me. There's like a certain amount of nostalgia involved in seeing this game actually run. So we're going to see what kind of system settings the game gives us off the bat. Just going to skip through all these menus. We're going to go options, system. So we've got, let's check it up there. In fact, let's just put it on 16 by 9. Ooh, 16 by 10 we want. 16 by 10, 1680 by 1050. Overall high, so that's good. I'm going to play it full screen. It's giving us all high settings, so that's quite exciting for me. And I think I'll do a comparison of it without the graphics card in a minute. In fact, let's screw this. So yeah, this is probably not good to show this. Oh, F4. Oh yeah, destroyed it. Destroyed it, destroyed it, destroyed it. Probably not going to work now. Homefront. Hopefully it'll launch again straight away. Homefront. Right, I'm gonna do it. So we're in Homefront now, with all high settings at 1680 by 1050 or something like that. I'll show you the resolution in a second. Skip through options. So that's the, hold on. Oh yeah, 1680 by 1050, 16 by 10. Overall high. Full screen, enabled DirectX 11. We've got all high settings that have been given to us by the system automatically. We're going to drop into a here. Let's see here. So obviously I've muted the audio so I don't get any copyright infringement. Boo, crappity crap. But it's just sick for me to see this running on a laptop, because I had a laptop that was like about, I don't know, 8 years newer than this or 6 years newer than this that couldn't run this. So running it on a laptop for me is amazing. And it looks, I don't know whether it comes across on camera, but it looks very visually stunning and plays perfectly fine. Yeah, so no lag, rendering really well. Fuck it. Move out my way. Move out my way. Move out my way. Move out my way. Anyway, yeah, so the game runs perfectly at high settings. And that for me is just like so nostalgic and so exciting. And this is on a Core 2 Duo, so like the desktop version, it was probably designed to do this. But this little like, and it's already getting quite hot, but it's just so cool seeing it run with the eGPU. It makes me happy. Anyway, that's the rough gist. So it works anyway and runs on high settings. So I'll be back with the non-graphic card, the non-eGPU setup to test again. So I'm sorry about the wobbly camera. It's just because I don't have any way of. Although actually, hold on. Do what I did before. I'm trying to load Homefront again, basically, but using just the laptop, as it were, or as it was. I don't think it's even going to open. That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, given it didn't work on a Core i3 with Intel HD graphics, and this has got some weird portable GMA chip and what's it called, a Core 2 Duo, this should think that's indicating it's going to be pretty crap. Although 8 gigs of RAM, I don't know whether I actually, yeah, I think I tried to play it with 8 gigs of RAM and it didn't really help. I can hear my son being adorable from the other room. And we're still waiting, we're waiting, we're waiting. It just like pops straight open with the graphics card. So again, you're seeing like the frustration of my oh, what did I have? I had a Toshiba Satellite C660D, I believe it was, or C660, and this was pretty much my experience of trying to play on that system, to be honest. Just things being long and a ball ache and really disappointing. Hold on, I'll be back. So whilst I had that brief interlude to get the absolute joy of my life / bane of my existence to stop making noise near the door while I'm recording, the game appeared to have loaded in, but now is still loading. And there was a good 5 minutes, literal 5 minutes, in between me stopping the recording and restarting it, and it's still not loaded it. We've got no mouse cursor, so I think I'm going to call this a write-off and say that it just definitely doesn't work, and then move on to the next game. But I just thought I'd include it for the fact that it shows you that this system cannot run this game without the external graphics card. It's not got a hope in hell of running this game without the graphics card, as far as I can tell, even with 8 gigs of RAM. So that proves the point. Lol, it's actually crashed the computer and I'm going to have to do a hard reset. That's so funny. Anyway, having to start with... Yeah, so that definitely didn't run. So, eGPUs for the win already. And yeah, just while it's booting up, that more or less proves my point about why this is such a revolutionary device for anyone with old ThinkPads. Because it's literally like, this laptop is from 2008 and even with 8 gigs of RAM, it can't run a game designed to run at its own era, released around the same time with the exact right specs. So that kind of says it all, really. Signing in, signing in, signing in. So now I've moved over to the T430s, which I will briefly just show you the fact that I've moved over to it. In the docking station from part A, with the eGPU hooked up there with the new 560 Ti, GTX 560 Ti nvidia graphics card, and we're going to rerun the infernal, the darned, we're going to rerun the benchmarks using Tomb Raider. So I'm going to try and set up a little, there we go, options, and we're going to go with the same settings we had before actually. So we got it on low, so exactly the same settings as the first part of the video, but using the new graphics card. So let's see how that works out first. I'm going to go into the benchmarking utility. I'm just going to quickly log into this laptop over here. I need to download more games on it while we're doing this. Okay, so I'm going to run the benchmark. I might speed it up in the video, or I might just leave it to run. Here's the benchmark for Tomb Raider with the 560 Ti now installed. Sorry, it's not quite full screen. I didn't realise I'd done that, but oh well. It doesn't look anywhere near that jittery. In fact, I'm going to stop the screen recording and just go straight to the... I'm going to rerun the benchmark. I'm going to rerun the benchmark without OBS on, and then just go to blah, 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 a screen capture of the end result. Be right back. So, and this, I'm just going to say this is like a hilarious change. So, right, moving over to the game now. If you remember, we had around, I think 48 FPS was the max I got on the previous graphics card. Check this out. 160 FPS, minimum 60 frames per second, average frames per second 93.1. So, what did we learn? GDDR3 is nowhere near as powerful as GDDR5, which most people probably knew already, but demonstrated in the eGPU department that it definitely paid off. So now I'm just going to quickly change the settings about it. In fact, I'll do it on camera, and then I'll film. So if we go to options, we're going to see if we can get this comfortably playing on max resolution for this monitor. Hold on. Let me just turn off that desktop audio so you can't hear the incessant. So we got max resolution. We're going to go with quality, normal, high. No, we're going to go with... I think we're going to go with high. The global settings. I'll be back in a sec. So there we go. I don't know whether you can see that, but they're the new settings. We've got everything on high, all the nice filtering, blah 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 blah. And this is on the exact same laptop that got less than 30 frames per second almost in this exact game. So I'm going to run the benchmark without OBS on, and then I'll be back. So as you can see now, with the settings on high and the juddering in the background is just on the recording, it's not there on what I'm seeing. Minimum 34 frames per second, max 60, average frames per second 47.5, but that's on everything on highest settings, not highest but high settings, and it looks bloody lovely, and it would be a perfectly acceptable playing experience for me. And we could probably max it out to ultra, but I'm not going to bother, just because, or should we, who knows. But the point still stands anyway. Let me just move back to the main camera. So the point still stands there, that you can see the considerable upgrade that even a 1 gig GDDR5 graphics card can make to Intel HD graphics using the external graphics card. So we're going to move on to some other games to see what kind of performance we can get out of yeah, different games. So I don't know how well this will go, so might be flunk out, I don't know, but I'm going to try and run Battlefield 3 campaign mode, because Battlefield 3, I didn't include it in the recordings, but Battlefield 3 tested absolutely fine on the 1 gig GDDR3, so I'm going to see what kind of level of graphics, or at least at the very least see if we can adequately record, like screen capture it while we're playing on OBS without seeing much jump in CPU usage. So yeah, I'm just going to let this roll through. No, you're not seeing much at the moment. I'll be back in a sec. So, if you can see, we've got graphics settings on medium. So this was all working exactly like this, but with the crappier graphics card. So we're going to go high. Wait. We'll go up to high first and see how the game runs with screen capture on high settings. So this is Battlefield 3. I'm not going to play for very long. I'm just doing a little demo, just showing what's possible. Might have to pause depending on how long it takes to load. And we're in. That's cool.
Hawkins, we just got raised to alert 1. Plans have changed. Special today. We're not on station for some Whiskey Delta ground support.
Ah, there we go.
Dask is going to fill us
Just add my details up.
over Tehran into Merabat Airport.
Now it doesn't look anything like this. So hold on, I'll be back in a second. I'm going to try and find a bench. So it's not going to look good to how you're seeing it, but these are the settings. We've got everything on ultra pretty much in Battlefield 3 on a laptop, and it's going to look like shit for you, but rest assured, if you can see the graphical quality, there is no stuttering whatsoever whilst I'm playing. But you can see the kind of graphics we can pump out through this GPU. Yes, I'm playing on easy. So we just get a freeze frame. Anyway, that kind of gives you a gist anyway. Yeah, I've gone crazy, but oh, hold on. Call me crazy, but it looks like I'm downloading Apex Legends. Just out of curiosity, So I won't be able to capture it very well. I might be able to turn the camera around and film. But if it runs, then I'll be blown away and chuffed. Like I've played PUBG on this setup before, and it's a bit laggy, but it wasn't very well optimized. In fact, let's play PUBG while that's downloading. Right, I've opened PUBG, but there's no way in God's green earth that this is actually going to run with screen capture. So I'm just going to film this computer's attempt at running PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Let's see how this goes. I mean, I've literally run PUBG at like a 12 frames per second on the x200, so if this doesn't run, I'd actually be quite surprised, because this is a dual-core i7 at 3.9 gigahertz, overclockable to 3.4, I believe, or 3.5. Change connection properties. Private. And yeah, fuck knows. Pardon my French. Sorry, I shouldn't swear. But yeah, maybe this will run. Who knows? Whether it'll be playable, I mean the game will run, but whether it'll be playable remains to be seen. Well, the game runs, we've established that. It's getting really hot just down underneath here where the dock is and stuff though. Right, so I'm going to just do a quick... Should I do solos? No. I'm not going to waste anyone's time by doing that. Training mode, I think, just to see if it runs. If it does, I'm probably going to laugh my ass off. Although they have been optimizing PUBG quite a lot, to their credit. It used to not even run on my main desktop with 16 gigs of RAM, 2 gig graphics card, and hence quad-core AMD CPU, so this should be interesting. Right, I'll try not to get in the way of the camera too much. Oh, it's kicking out some heat now though. I'm guessing from the fact that everyone's already blapping each other that I'm probably not going to be able to play this very fluidly, but that remains to be seen. It remains to be seen. Zoom, there we go. Nothing's happening, nothing's happening. A lot of people in the audience look pissed. Still waiting. I mean, it's... Oh. Right, let's quickly go to settings in game as well. Take this down to 30, that down to 30. Very low. So that's kind of my settings. You can't really see that, but it's all on very low basically. And this is playable. This is actually playable. I don't know how good it's going to be when you get into a map, but like a full game, but I mean, yeah, this, at least in training mode, it's perfectly playable. It might not look so to you, but on my screen it's absolutely fine. It's just because I'm recording it. So yeah, I learned a valuable lesson today. That you can in fact play PUBG on a laptop. You can play PUBG on a laptop. Did you hear that? You can play PUBG on a laptop. Sick. So I just rendered the video. Well, it's just finalizing the output. I rendered the video on the eGPU setup as well, or the mainstay of the video anyway. Took 25 minutes. This isn't too bad. And I'll be back just to add a little bit of footage of Apex Legends. It's probably going to be tragic because the graphics card is 1 gig less than the recommended minimum, but everything else about the laptop specs meet the minimum requirements. So fingers crossed, with incredibly low settings we might have some Apex Legends. We'll see. Okay, so actually let's do the tutorial just rather than wasting anyone's time. We appear to be running, unless I'm sincerely mistaken, Apex Legends on a laptop. Yeah.
Let us begin with basic movement. Complete the checklist on your HUD. Follow me. Sliding down hills increases speed.
Actually, screw doing the tutorial. We've got to see if it's possible to play an actual match like this. But it would appear whether it's actually a playable experience remains to be seen.
This is your champion.
I'm going to try my best.
Master here. Good thing my buddies and I aren't afraid of heights.
Hopefully it stabilizes when we get to the ground.
Might be something good this way.
Doing effectively a suicide run here. These graphics. Shit, what have I done? Definitely a suicide run now. And I'm trapped.
Grappling.
Attention. First blood.
Yeah, now we're talking. Let's do this.
So, yeah, this is
Watch out for the new kill leader, friend.
obscenely poor frame rate.
Champion
But
out.
Round 1. Beginning race countdown.
I've lost my teammates as well.
Reloading. Let's go this way. I am taking fire.
Uh-oh, let's go help.
I am taking fire, friends.
Oh dear, I feel awful now.
Reloading. Enemy down. Reloading. Just us left. I am down.
Oh dear.
David 46 cents. So sorry. Got the banner. Time to get a beacon.
Oh, I'm gonna die. Oh, the frame rate is diabolical. But I appear to be in the game. I'm not dead.
Might be something good there. Let's check out over there. Marking our surroundings. We have the benefits. We are inside the ring. Level 1.
Take the lead. Smiley face.
Attention. Delivery care package.
I bet that care package has some sweet gear for us.
Sorry I'm not saying much, I'm like really intensely into this.
R99 here. Never mind, sorry. R99 here. Shotgun ammo here. Peacekeeper here.
It's nice to be nice.
Attention. The kill leader has been eliminated.
Thanks. Body shields here. Level 1.
Round 2. Beginning ring countdown.
Already in the next ring. I smell victory. That smells like
Supply ship
is it pork chops. How funny. Hostile right here. Body shields here.
Just throw a grenade at your damn self.
Marking our surroundings. How about this way? Trust in the All Father.
Oh shit.
David46 says, GG.
Well, it was interesting. When it came to it, I couldn't get any kills, but I played a complete round of Apex Legends on a laptop, so I'm pretty chuffed with that. Sweet. Through the power of incessant googling, we have come upon the possibility of playing stream mode all Apex. Effectively what I've done let's try that. So somehow through a bit of Google foo, I managed to get a stable version, well, a stable setup with the nvidia GTX 750 Ti. So now we can play this game properly. I'm going to attempt to play around.
It's going to be great. At least that's what I keep telling myself.
And I should be relatively silent throughout this process, mainly out of God's macabre. That was the sheer shock that I managed to make this work. Just pray to God that we don't get any glitching.
Introducing your champion. I saw this coming.
Master of the jump, right here. This might be a good place to land, but what do I know? This is the best part.
Still only running on a dual core, but they all left me. That's fine. I don't care. We are running a relatively stable version of Apex Legends with actual usable graphics on a laptop. Thank you very much. On a laptop. Yes.
Attention. First blood.
Oh, someone got the party started.
Oh yeah. Badass and big in the game.
Beginning ring countdown.
Are we anywhere near the ring?
That string's
No.
far. Hope you like exercise.
Leg it. I actually can't believe this. This is as good as it is on my desktop. Pretty much. Oh dear. see if we can get a cheeky kill. Oh yeah. Gotta fucking kill us, huh?
Dang, looks like it's just us.
Reloading.
Holy balls.
They spotted me. I'm taking shots.
Look this way.
Reloading. Reloading.
Oh well. Still though, that was fucking sick. Pardon my French again. So basically, yeah, I've got a 2 gig graphics card now, which was the very last minute when I had all but given up hope. I've been able to use it. So we've gone from 1 gig DDR3 to 1 gig DDR5 to 2 gig DDR5. Now that is a hell of a step up. And just to, before I sign off for this crazy time of a crazy video that's probably going to be extremely long at this point, I'm just going to run that Tomb Raider benchmark once more on Ultra. Just for the lols. The Tomb Raider. So we've got options. We're gonna, yep. High, we're gonna move up to Ultra. Okay, play. And then we're gonna do the benchmark. If we get anything approaching 30 to 60 frames per second, I'm gonna do a little happy dance and put it on the film for you. Benchmark. No, don't bring any of that up. What are you doing? Why don't we do a benchmark on Ultra apparently? So let's do a benchmark on High. Just be patient, don't crash, there we go. Well, let me benchmark. That's so frustrating. There we go, benchmark on High. Since it's the final benchmark, I'm going to make you sit through it, just to build the tension, just to build the exquisite tension. Looks stunning. I wish you could see this in person because it's just a beautiful game. So we've got max 80 FPS on High, minimum 50, average nearly 70. Yes, that is sick. Right, this has been Tech Dave with the eGPU extensive full attempts doing all kinds of crazy shenanigans. Like, subscribe, leave a little sassy comment. I love it, I love it, I love it. I'm so happy. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.